Wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
The Invaders. A Quinn Martin production.
Well, welcome back. It's a new week. It's a new model. It is the Invaders UFO. This is a ridiculously simple kit. This is what I would call remedial UFO 101. But I am going to be juicing this up with some lighting. I'm building this for a friend of mine who had sent me the kit, said build this, and he sent me a lighting module to go in it as well. And then I'm going to add some lighting to it because it's basically a pretty static kit unless you do something to it. I mean, it's like I said, it's beyond simple. It's got this big old orange shape in the center that you would, want to light up, but it is part of the kit. He sent me a light module that he also wants me to put in it for the top, which is one of these guys, and you've seen these. They're similar to what's used in the Jupiter 2 to give you a... I'm sorry, I got a weak battery connection. That's why this is doing this, but there you go. That's the... there you go. That's the lighting module he wants me to put in the roof. Now, because of the way this is set up, that means no interior, which makes it even simpler. So I've got to light it up if I'm not going to have any interior in it. So I did a little work already. I've nibbled out the tops. I've got 2 more. Actually, I've got 4 more to take out, but I've been nibbling away at those. That goes on top of here. I'm going to fill that in with a clear bit so that the light can shine out. I've got bulbs that I'm going to be using for the bottom. These are some of the new ones I just got from Evans Lighting that are a pulsing, what they call a breathing blue light there. And I'm going to try to light that thing up. We're going to see how well it's going to go, but I'm going to try to light that thing up. So let's get to work. Okay, here we are. It's Tuesday afternoon, and work is continuing on the Invaders UFO. And I've been kind of hesitant or uninterested in videoing a lot of this because really the only thing more boring than watching silver paint dry is watching silver paint be painted. So really, this kit, I've said it before, it borders on remedial. It's a good basic kit, but it ain't the most exciting thing in the world to watch. So here you go. I've got the orange painted in. I've put in a couple of slightly different colors of aluminum, and then I darkened the wheel wells, or what would constitute the wheel wells, the landing gear wells. And the landing gear are out in the other room. They've been silver coated. They're drying. The outer shell, the top and the outside, that's in the other room. It's drying. I put some auto paint on that of silver, not the Vallejo. I've been using the Vallejo metal colors for some of these detail or accent colors, but for the basic overall color, I've been using Duplicolor. I think it's called bright metallic or bright metallic silver. But really, the fun part's going to come now that this part has been done. Once it dries, and trust me, I'm going to let it dry for a good long time, is to start putting the lighting in, and that will be the next fun thing. Oh, that's a little more like it. It puts some life into this simple little saucer. I just put 5 of those breathing LEDs. Now, they start off in unison, but they are never going to stay that way because they're individual bulbs. They're not on the same circuit. So what you're going to get after a while is this nice, more random pattern. It's never, well, you're up to the whims of nature. It's never going to be one of these recognizable patterns. Each one of them is just going to breathe in and out. But as soon as I say that, I notice this pattern. Didn't mean to, but that certainly, between that and the painting some yellow into that orange centered detail. Now these get little domes put over top of them that I've got frosted and out in the other room, and I'll pack a little bit of Fiberfill into them to diffuse the bulbs. But I think that's really neat. By the time we sit this upside down on its feet, I think it's really going to give a nice effect. Okay, I'm putting the fiber-filled domes in place, and all I'm doing is tearing off a little bit of fiber, pushing and making a little ball out of it, pushing it into these parts, and then I put it down on place and just hit it with a drop of the thin CA and let it seal in place. So unfortunately I need both hands to do that, so let me finish up the last two. Welcome back. It is Wednesday. Welcome back to what is rapidly becoming the slowest model build of all time. And if something can rapidly become the slowest, I'm probably the guy to do it. This thing has been taking forever, and I don't know why. Because I'm going slow. I got used to a pace when I was working on the Enterprise. I got used to working at a certain pace. And I need to step that up, I think. But the good result of that is look at that silver finish. That's probably the cleanest silver finish I've ever done by stepping back and, hitting it once and stepping away and hitting it again and stepping away. And then putting a slightly different silver over top of the whole thing of it. I think it really gave me a nice uniform, clean look, which, anybody who works with a lot of metallics knows is not the easiest thing to master. So now I'm going to risk tearing into it today because I've got the lighting done for the, you saw this yesterday, I got the lighting done for the blue engine lights or landing lights or googly lights, whatever the aliens call those. And today I am going to be working on the chase lighting that goes inside the top. I have cut out all of these slots, and there's lights that give you the effect of that. Also, at the same time, and of course this goes on top of there, all at the same time I need to make a battery compartment. This model will have no interior. It'll have a battery compartment, a switch, and this circuit. Now the circuit was provided to me by Richard, who also is the guy who's footing the bill for this build, and it's a neat circuit. It's a really nice piece of engineering. It would help if I had it on camera. I promised to do better camera work this week. But that is the circuit, and it goes to a switch and a battery. And it's all contained here, but of course I can't leave something this good well enough alone. I need to cut it off right about there and right about there because the wiring just doesn't meet how I plan on wiring. So I need to cut this off so that I can attach that circuit to the inside here, and you can kind of see where I've drawn out the lines of force, as it were. I can set this upside down in here and use that as a staging area, but it's going to sit something like this with one light going out to each of the openings, and I need to set it up a little bit so that the light is level with that. So it's going to have to sit up. I need to make some sort of little block, whether I make that out of plastic or balsa or something, just to raise that up a little bit. And then I think I'm going to run some channeling, just flat stock to channel those lights, just to help them make sure that they're a little bit more isolated than there you go. Do something like that. But to do that, I really need to cut this dead weight off so that I can get the circuit up where I need it. So let's do that, and then it's just a matter of putting a battery and a switch in here, and we should be able to knock this out. This is Thursday. It's Wednesday. We're in currently like the 19th week of Hurricane Dorian. That's sitting right now off the Florida coast, but it's been threatening to come up to North Carolina. So I know that we will be getting some rain towards the end of this week, and more than likely we'll end up losing power. So I might want to go ahead and get this up before the storm comes in. And if it's a short week, then it's a short week. Okay, I'm just finishing up encapsulating these lights, and I wanted to pull out the camera and show the good people what I did, just in case it fails miserably. What I've done basically is I took some 1/4 inch square balsa wood, because I was gluing it down to plastic, and hot glued it down, and that made light channels or light boxes for each of the bulbs that are going out. And then I put just to shim them up to make them just that much more tall. I took some 1/4 inch strip styrene, just top the top of each one of those off. And what I'm going to do is I've just cut out these shapes out of sheet styrene that I'm going to put over the top. And basically this only exists to keep those areas clean and away from prying fingers that they don't need to be there. Not to say that Richard wouldn't be curious, but he don't need to. There are no user serviceable parts underneath there, so let's keep that clean. Now the last thing I need to do, I'm looking at these now and I'm thinking maybe I need to do something to cover that wood, because I don't know how much you're going to be. I need to light that up to see how much of that you're really going to see from the inside. If you aren't going to see any of it, then I'll leave it as is, but I might want to paint those with something to block the obvious wood, because I'm not going to. I thought about frosting those, and I may yet still, and that might take care of that problem. Let me think of that. Okay, the last bit of maintenance I need to do before I'm ready to close up the two halves of the hull is to tack these wires down to make the joint between the two halves that much easier. I need to get these little springy guys out of the way so that I can flip this over, and then you can see how I ingeniously hooked up the switch to the inside. Okay, this is where we're going to end up for the day. I got to tell you, just in retrospect, this kit is probably one of the worst kits I have ever worked on. And for all of its simplicity, there are so many glaring problems with it. First of all, there are so many sinkholes in it, mold holes in it, that it looks like a pattern. And I can make a career out of filling them, but so I decided to forego that, because, like I said, you could make a career doing it. And the horrible gaps in the, I mean, you only get, basically, there's 3 parts to this kit: top, middle, and bottom. And if you can't make the bottom and the middle joints come together without big gaps, you have failed in 1/3 of your work. But this is what I've done. I used the one console in here to pop a switch in there and put that top back on. And you can see the lights reflecting on the glass below, but there you go. See, it was important for me not only to have the light come out where you wanted it, but for it to be blocked off every other place so you only saw it. You didn't get any spill from the other lights. I wanted to isolate them as much as possible. So by making those little dams, I was able to isolate each of the lights. And now the bottom ones are starting to do their fade up, fade out thing. I'll turn this over and show you how horrible this joint is that I have to put putty all around it, but there you go. And I'll sand that joint up tomorrow, and we should be ready to call this a done thing. Sand it up and touch up the paint on it. And there you go. And it's designed so that you can change out the battery there. The reason I didn't cover up this circuit board completely is because there's a switch right here, a little pressure switch, which changes the pattern of the lights. Changes direction, changes the flashing pattern, and if you ever wanted to play with that or change it up at all, I wanted to make sure you still had that capability, so that's why. It goes through a bunch of different patterns. And then there's one demo pattern that's where it goes through all of them. I mean, there's a ton there. There's two of them going at a time. And there's three of them going at a time. There's just a ton of these. There we go. Okay, let me put this away. Good morning, welcome back. It is Thursday. The storm is still, we're in our 120th day of Dorian watch. It's taking forever to get here. It has gotten a little bit overcast outside, and yes, I have taken to calling it Dorian Gray. It is Dorian Gray outside. I'm going to do my best to get this guy finished today or tomorrow. And what I've done is I've puttied this last night, and I let it dry, or let the putty cure all night, the Bondo spot putty. And today I just did some sanding this morning, and now I'm going to throw a coat of primer over it to see how badly it needs. It might need more putty, who knows? But I need to put a coat of the primer sealer over it. And to do that, I am going to have to throw it into the airbrush and spray it on gingerly. Okay, I just put I did a light dusty sanding, and then I put down a quick pass of a medium gray Tamiya, just to give it a good base for whatever metallic I decide to put on top of it. I always like putting medium colors, or if I'm using a special color, I like putting something that's close to that down as a base, just so that the top paint coat doesn't have to do too much work. All it has to do is kind of lay on top and give you the impression of the color. It doesn't have to do a lot of coverage. Most of the coverage is being handled by the color underneath, and then the top just kind of has to lay there. So the heavy work of covering the primer and the little putty spots is being done by this gray paint. Well, that was fun while it lasted. I was putting the silver on here, and that was looking okay. And I pulled the tape off, and it pulled the big chunk of paint off of the top. So my nice, smooth, nice, beautiful, smooth silver coating on the top has all gone to hell. So I need to back up and patch this area. So that's going to put a significant delay on things. Well, let's get to work on it. I've got to sand off, trying to feather this out. I'm going to have to see how I can even that paint back up. Okay, I've done a bit of sanding. If Dorian will forgive me, I'm going to step out on the back porch and see if I can put a spritz of the sealer primer on it, and we'll go from there. Okay, that doesn't look half bad. I don't see any big paint ridges where the paint was removed. I guess I did a pretty good job of sanding down, or sanding those areas smooth, so we'll let that dry for a bit, and then we'll see about putting a new top coat of the auto paint over top of that. This may not be as big a deal, he said, crossing his fingers. This may not be as big a deal as I thought it was going to be. There you go. That's not so bad after all. A quick pass with the actual paint, And I think we'd be hard-pressed to find where that paint had lifted off. Now I'm going to let that dry overnight. Come back to it in the morning. Well, good morning. Welcome back. It is Friday. It is the last work day of the week. This will be the final day on the Invaders UFO. Just got a tiny bit of body work to finish up, and I'll easily get that done today. And it'll be about packing this thing up to transport, and that'll take a good chunk of today. I want to thank everybody, firstly, who emailed or put a message in the videos about the storm and hoping that I came through it okay. It's Friday, the sun is shining, the winds are still a little high. It rained a lot yesterday, but nothing torrential. I got a big old branch down in the yard, but that's nothing special. It happens just about every time the wind blows. I've got some of the wimpiest trees I have ever seen. You think of something substantial like a tree, and I got branches that are 5 inches around at the place where they snap off and they just fall. And but it didn't land on the house, landed in the yard. I'll cut it up and drag it off, take care of that. I got a lot of leaves down, expected that. Every time we get a good windstorm through, it kind of clears out the dead branches, or the branches that can't quite stand up to the strain, and bring a bunch of leaves down. I mowed the other day in preparation because I figured the yard would get a good soaking, and then it would be days before I could get back into it. But heck, I'll probably clean that up today and be back and mowing the backyard this weekend. It just wasn't that big a deal here. Never lost power. The people out at the Outer Banks, they got it a lot worse. But that's, a good 150, 200 miles away from here. So it looks closer when you see the dots on the map, but it really is. It's half a world away, it seems sometimes. So thanks for all the kind thoughts. I made it through. I will rebuild. I will rake up the leaves, and we'll get back to normal. Here you can see where we are with the Invaders saucer. I still have tape on the bottom, because I want to touch a little bit, a couple of spots there that I want to touch with the body, or the top gray silver paint. I got that area all repaired yesterday. You can barely see where it is. I know where it is, so I know what to look for, but I would almost guarantee that a stranger would not be able to pick it out, which is a sign of good body work. And do a couple more spots like that today, covering that horrible, horrible seam. And like I said, this will be ready to pack up, and I will be on to the next project. And I've got some ideas up my sleeve on the next project because, well, I'm not going to tell you because it's a tease and it's not part of this build. And I'm trying to keep my build separate now, so that unless I set out to start 2 or 3 kits at the same time and follow the progress of all of those kits at the same time, I'm trying not to cross-pollinate or cross-contaminate my videos with more than one build. So let me show you what I'm getting ready to do as far as the packing up, which is, exciting stuff. Okay, I'm getting ready to pack up my troubles in my old kit bag. Now I'm getting ready to pack up the UFO, the Invaders UFO, to go to Mr. Richard, and using a box with a good foam lining, which I find is always key. And now I need to address a question here that I get a lot, and I'm a bit of a hypocrite when I answer it. People say, do you do commissions? Yes. I always say, no, I don't do commissions. But sometimes I do commissions, and it's a very individual decision for me. It's a very specialized, and I can't make any blanket statements about it except for one. Shipping. If it is something that stands the least bit of a chance of being damaged in shipping, then I usually just say no. I'll do a commission if someone wants to come pick it up, and then the onus is on them to get it home. and I don't have to worry about shipping because they've already picked it up. But what I do not want to do is put my work at the tender mercies of not just the USPS, who I have great respect for. I send all of my stuff out when I'm sending orders out. I send it out USPS, and I've never had a problem. I've had bad experiences with FedEx. I've had iffy experiences with UPS. I've had drastically horrible experiences with DHL. So what I as a blanket statement will say is no, I don't do commissions because I don't ship things. Now Richard is one exception because he generally will pick subjects that interest me, that I haven't done in a while or haven't done at all, or C, are very compact and will ship. And I will be the first person to tell him that if he wants me to do, the Black Pearl, forget it. With all, I'm not going to do a ship that's got masts and rigging and, all extraneous crap like that. I'm not going to do an X-Wing for the same reason. It's got those 4 lasers that will snap off in a heartbeat. I don't like sending out Enterprises because of the pylons. Same thing. But when you get something like the U.F.O. that is so compact and so basic and so simple, that I don't have a problem with. And same thing goes for the last thing I did for him, which was a spindrift. Spindrift is all one shape, and I can wrap it up fairly tightly with the bubble wrap, and it's not going to have a problem. The Icarus that I did for him, same deal. The Flying Sub, same deal. All compact, no masts sticking out, no antennae, no anything that's going to snap off. And this U.F.O. is the same thing. Now, the most dangerous part of this snapping off would be the little feet on the bottom, the little stands there on the bottom of the landing gear. But what I have designed here is a way to not only encase everything in foam, but by sitting the bottom of the saucer on these two, the feet actually dangle in midair. They don't touch this. So we don't have that problem. So basically what I've done, and I should probably put this down, is I've cut little slits in the side foam that this is locked into now. Now the only thing that is not locked down is this top, and I can do that with simple top pressure. But here you've got something that is locked down from all 4 sides, and I will put a little bit of this, extra foam in here on the sides to really hold it down. But what's going to be key is the top part, and I've cut a little relief for the top dome there to hold it down. And by the time you do this and tape it up, I can shake this box, I can drop it off a cliff, and it will not hurt the kid inside. So I'm going to tape this up and take it to the post office. And now that it is completely sealed, I can do this. Shake it around. I can trust this to the post office now. There you go. So Richard, it should be on its way. It'll go out today. And you should have it next week. And by then, we will be working on something new. Something old, something new. I was reminded back when I was cleaning up after Enterprise, because there's a lot of stuff. It took up a lot of space. It took up a lot of working capital in the house. So when I was cleaning things up and throwing things away, mixing dishes, things like that, I came across the box that I, kind of in the back of my head, I forgot I had. But that will be the subject of the next quick build. And, depending on how the weekend goes, I might even just build it this weekend. Who knows? So tune in next time to find out the answer to these and more gripping questions. So until then, be good. For gosh sakes, be good to each other. And we'll see you here next time.